Hello everyone, welcome to today's Bow Tell Bow video. I got a real treat for you today. We got an actual Viking. I dug him up from the ground myself and brought him back to life. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about the bow that we made for our Viking friend, but then also get into the history and how they actually use the bow. So right here is what we consider a Viking bow. It's a Hedeby style longbow. You can look that up, but basically what it is, it's a side knocked bow tied on the bottom, and then it's got this extra meat on top of it to be used as a walking stick or a ski pole, something to keep the bow as a useful tool when it's not strung, but also to be able to quickly be strung up and used as a bow. So this is Floki here. Floki, tell us a little bit about how a Viking would use your kit here on a daily basis.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of the kit I have on is based off of the Hedeby, so same area as where they found the bow. And
Hedeby's a city.
It was a trading port at the time. It was in southern Denmark on the Jutland Peninsula, but now today, of course, it's in northern Germany. That border's moved a bunch of times
for various reasons.
Various reasons, yeah. So this bow, the poundage it's at, would be used primarily for hunting, because this is about 50 pounds at 33 inches. And a war bow would be above 80 pounds. Viking bows, probably war bows, 120 pounds. But the bow for hunting is a critical part of a Viking's kit. Probably all Vikings hunted to some degree, not as frequently as people tend to think.
Right.
They tend to think, well, you get up in the morning as a Viking, you get hungry, you go out, I'll kill 3 deer, I'll bring them back. Anybody who's been hunting knows that's not how it works. But hunting was really important because these communities, even though they were largely agrarian farms, they're growing mostly livestock, a little bit of obvious root vegetables and some grains. But when you can hunt, you definitely want to be able to hunt, because that's going to help supplement that diet. And meat and protein, those were the difficult things for the Vikings to acquire. You would spend a good period of the year without fresh meat. So if you can, yeah, it sucks. So if you can hunt, you're definitely going to hunt. It would depend what region of the Scandinavian world you're in. If you're in Denmark, hunting is going to be a little different than it's going to be in Sweden. Sweden has a lot more forest. And Norway, of course, has mountains. Lots of it. So it's going to be a different kind of environment. You're going to be hunting different things. But the self bow like this as well, out of one piece of ash, these would be fairly easy for them to continue to manufacture. As you know, these have a lifespan where they'll stop working after a certain period of time, 3 years usually, maybe 5,
depending on use case.
Yeah. So they could quickly pound out a couple more bows as they needed to. They didn't worry too much about that. Bows in warfare, though, were also critically important because a lot of the Viking warfare was naval battles. They're fighting on boats. We tend to think of Vikings raiding on land. They did obviously do some land battles, but when Vikings fight Vikings, it's generally done at sea. So the bow is your first line of attack, because as you bring those ships into maneuver, you can start to attack immediately with the bow. And as I was saying a little while ago, I think in Heimskringla, they talk about one of Olaf Tryggvason's archers, and he could put an arrow right through a masthead. That's
so much wood.
It's so much wood. It's going to be this 2-year dried aged pine that arrow is going to go straight through.
Yeah.
So
my goodness.
I'd say 160 at least to make something like that happen, if not heavier.
And a big
arrow,
half-inch or more shafted arrow. Like, they're huge arrows.
And this is sort of a misconception I think people have about the early medieval period. They tend to think a longbow like this doesn't appear in the medieval period until Edward I, when he brings the longbow to the continent. But that's not the case. They were definitely there. But war bows take a lifetime of training. You have to start pulling a war bow when you're about 10. And so it's hard to train people on war bows. So if you have a community that has people that can draw a bow of 120, 160, 180 pounds, you're definitely going to use them.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I think these bows were more common in warfare, is just because it took so long to
train.
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well throw an axe at them or something. Or do something else on your kit that you got.
Yeah, a little axe like this. You could train somebody to use an axe like this inside of a year or two, really, to be at least proficient. They may not be superior fighting with it, but this would be they'd be much more sufficient with this. But a longbow, that would take a lifetime, almost decades, to get to the point where you could draw a bow heavy enough. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So anything, something cool that we found out using this. So today we're walking around on an archery range to go and do our shooting, but Floki here is wearing period style shoes. So as you can understand, he means he doesn't have any grip, any modern grip on the shoes. So this used as a walking stick actually proved to be quite useful.
Absolutely, it's absolutely useful. Yeah, you don't realize how much you rely on the tread on your shoes when you're walking up a slick hill, and you have to change your gait. You have to walk more on your toes, and your body instinctively kind of wants to go back to those heels and wants to put the whole foot down. The minute you do that in a period shoe, you're sliding now. So yeah, having something to help balance you, feel the ground, to help you pull up. Definitely something like that. Terrain like this is something we probably see in Norway and parts of Sweden. Denmark, probably not.
No. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
You bet.
Anything else you'd like to say?
I'm going to be starting my own channel here soon. I will get out notifications to everybody who's interested in that. And we'll be talking about my Viking round shield sword technique that I use for fighting. We'll talk about how to build kits. We'll talk about how to build the shields, sword scabbards, all kinds of fun stuff. So look out for that content coming out.
Yeah. You saw it here first.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.